Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. You know the drill, depending on where you are in this world. God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're going to be in the New Jerusalem Holy Bible, and we're in First Maccabees, and we stopped at chapter 7, verse 7, so we'll pick up in verse 8. The king chose Bacchides, one of the friends of the king, governor of Trans-Euphrates, an important personage in the kingdom and loyal to the king. He sent him with the godless alchemists, whom he confirmed in the high priesthood, with orders to exact retribution from the Israelites. So they set out with a large force, and on reaching Judea, sent emissaries to Judas and his brothers with proposals peaceable yet treacherous. The latter, however, did not put any faith in their words, aware that they had come with a large force. Nevertheless, a commission of scribes presented themselves before alchemists and Bacchides to sue for just terms. The first among the Israelites to ask them for peace terms were the Hasidians, who reasoned thus: "This is a priest of Aaron's line who has come with the armed forces. He will not wrong us." He did, in fact, discuss peace terms with them and gave them his oath: "We shall not attempt to injure you or your friends." They believed him, but he arrested 60 of them and put them to death on one day, fulfilling the words of Scripture: "They have scattered the bodies of your faithful, and shed their blood all round Jerusalem, leaving no one to bury them." At this, fear and dread gripped the whole people. "There is no truth or virtue in them," they said. "They have broken their agreement and their sworn oath." Bacchides then left Jerusalem and encamped at Beth-Zeth, and from there sent and arrested many of the men who had deserted him, and a few of our people too. He had them killed and thrown down the great well. He then put out alchemists in charge of the province, leaving an army with him to support him. Bacchides himself returned to the king. Alchemists continued his struggle to become high priest, and all who were disturbing the peace of their own people rallied to him, and having won control of Judea, did much harm in Israel. Seeing that all the wrongs done to the Israelites by alchemists and his supporters exceeded what the Gentiles had done, Judas went right round the whole territory of Judea to take vengeance on those who had deserted him and to prevent their free movement about the country. Nicanor in Judea and battle of Kephar Salama. When alchemists saw how strong Judas and his supporters had grown, and realized that he was powerless to resist them, he went back to the king, to whom he made malicious accusations against them. The king sent Nicanor, one of his generals ranking as illustrious and a bitter enemy of Israel, with orders to exterminate the people. Reaching Jerusalem with a large force, Nicanor sent a friendly yet treacherous message to Judas and his brothers, as follows: "Let us have no fighting between you and me. I shall come with a small escort for a peaceful meeting with you." He met Judas and they exchanged friendly greetings. The enemy, however, had made preparations to abduct Judas. When Judas became aware of Nicanor's treacherous purpose in coming to see him, he took fright and refused any further meeting. Nicanor then realized that his plan had been discovered and took the field against Judas to give battle near Kephar Salama. About 500 of Nicanor's men fell. The rest took refuge in the city of David. Threats against the temple. After these events, Nicanor went up to Mount Zion, Some of the priests came out of the holy place with some elders to give him a friendly welcome and show him the burnt offering being presented for the king. But he ridiculed them, laughed at them, defiled them, and used insolent language, swearing in his rage. Unless Judas is handed over to me this time with his army, as soon as I am safely back, I promise you, I shall burn this building down. Then he went off in a fury. At this, the priests went in again and stood weeping in front of the altar and the temple, saying, "You have chosen this house to be called by your name, to be a house of prayer and a petition for your people. Take vengeance on this man and on his army, and let them fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies and give them no respite." The day of Nicanor at Adassa. Nicanor left Jerusalem and encamped at Beth Horon, where he was joined by an army from Syria. Let me read that sentence again. Nicanor left Jerusalem and encamped at Beth Horon, where he was joined by an army from Syria. Judas, meanwhile, camped at Adassa with 3,000 men and offered this prayer: "When the king's envoy blasphemed, your angel went out and struck down 185,000 of his men. In the same way, let us see you crush this army today, so that everyone else may know that this man has spoken blasphemously against your sanctuary. Pass judgment on him as his wickedness deserves." The armies met in battle on the 13th of the month Adar, and Nicanor's army was crushed, he himself being the first to fall in the battle. When Nicanor's soldiers saw him fall, they threw down their arms and fled. The Jews pursued them a day's journey from Adassa to the approaches of Gezer. They sounded their trumpets in warning as they followed them, and people came out of all the surrounding Judean villages to encircle the fugitives, who then turned back on their own men. All fell by the sword, not one being left alive. Having collected the spoils and booty, they cut off Nicanor's head and the right hand he had stretched out in a display of insolence. These were taken and displayed within sight of Jerusalem. The people were overjoyed and kept that day as a great holiday. Indeed, they decided to celebrate it annually on the 13th of Adar. For a short while, Judea enjoyed peace. And this is chapter 8. A eulogy of the Romans. Now Judas had heard of the reputation of the Romans, how strong they were, and how well disposed towards any who made common cause with them, making a treaty of friendship with anyone who approached them. And indeed they were extremely powerful. He had been told of their wars and of their prowess among the Gauls, whom they had conquered and put under tribute, and of all they that had done in the province of Spain, to gain possession of the silver and gold mines there, making themselves masters of the whole country by their determination and perseverance, despite its great distance from their own, of the kings who came from the ends of the earth to attack them, only to be crushed by them and overwhelmed with disaster, and of others who paid them annual tribute: Philip, Perseus, king of the Kittim, and others who had dared to make war on them, had been defeated and reduced to subjection, while Antioch the Great, king of Asia, who had advanced to attack them with 120 elephants, cavalry, chariots, and a very large army, had also suffered defeat at their hands. They had taken him alive, and imposed on him and his successors, on agreed terms, the payment of an enormous tribute, the surrender of hostages, and the cessation annexation of the Indian territory, with Media, Lydia, and some of their best provinces, which they took from him and gave it to King Eumenes. Judas had also heard how, when the Greeks planned an expedition to destroy the Romans, the latter had got wind of it, and sending a single general against them, had fought a campaign in which they inflicted heavy casualties, carried their women and children away into captivity, pillaged their goods, subdued their country, tore down their fortresses, and reduced them to a slavery lasting to the present day, and how they had destroyed and subjugated all of the other kingdoms and islands that resisted them. But where their friends and those who relied on them were concerned, they had always stood by their friendship. They had subdued kings far and near, and all who heard their name went in terror of them. One man, if they determined to help him and advance him to a throne, would certainly occupy it, while another, if they so determined, would find himself deposed. Their influence was paramount. In spite of all this, no single one of them had assumed a crown or put on the purple for his own aggrandizement. They had set up a senate where 320 counselors deliberated daily, constantly debating how best to regulate public affairs. They entrusted their government to one man for a year at a time, with absolute power over their whole empire, and this man was obeyed by all without envy or jealousy. Yeah, we're only at 11 minutes. It's a good story. The alliance between the Jews and Romans. Having chosen Eupolemus, son of John, of the family of Achos, and Jason, son of Eleazar, Judas sent them to Rome to make a treaty of friendship and alliance with these people, in the hope of being rid of the yoke, for they could see that Greek rule was reducing Israel to slavery. The envoys made the lengthy journey to Rome and presented themselves before the Senate in their formal proposal. Judas Maccabeus and his brothers, with the Jewish people, have sent us to you to conclude a treaty of alliance and peace with you, and to enroll ourselves as your allies and friends. The proposal met with the approval of the senators. Here is a copy of the rescript, which they engraved on bronze tablets and sent to Jerusalem to be kept there by the Jews as a record of peace and alliance. Good fortune attend the Romans and the Jewish nation by sea and land forever. May sword or enemy be far from them. If war comes first to Rome, of any of her allies throughout her dominions, the Jewish nation will take action as her ally, as occasion may require, and do it wholeheartedly. They will not give or supply to the enemy any grain, arms, money, or ships. Thus has Rome decided, and they are to honor their obligations without guarantees. In the same way, if war comes first to the Jewish nation, the Romans will support them energetically as occasion may offer, and the aggressor will not be furnished with grain, arms, money, or ships, such is the Roman decision, and they will honor these obligations without treachery. Such are the articles under which the Romans have concluded their treaty with the Jewish people. If, later, either party should decide to make any addition or deletion, they will be free to do so, and any such addition or deletion will be binding. As regards the wrongs done to them by King Demetrius, we have written to him in these terms: Why have you made your yoke lie heavy on our friends and allies, the Jews? If they appeal against you again, we shall uphold their rights and make war on you by sea and land. We're almost done with chapter. Well, that was the end of chapter 8. I guess we'll stop there. And as always, I love you. It's a good story, huh?